What's going on, guys, and welcome to my Crosshair build for the Elder Scrolls Online. It is a Khajiit Stamina Templar. I use bow and 2H on it, and as you can see from that first clip there, it is a very hard-hitting build. It's very agile. It's got a nice mixture of damage over time, along with a decent amount of burst as well. I am running 2 Swift, as well as being in medium armor, and then I have two pretty cheap sources of major expedition, so it's a very quick build as well. But yeah, let's jump into the stats and everything here. Like I said, it is a Khajiit, and I'll kind of go into why that is important a little bit later. But obviously we have 64 points of the stamina here. Our magical pool is sitting at about 10.8k, which is pretty nice for a stamina build. For this build in particular as well, because we are using a couple of decently expensive magical abilities such as Mist, Purify, and Accelerate. Taking a look at the health, it is a little bit low, but we do have a couple of ways to make up for that, which I'll go over afterwards. And then same thing with our stamina, is not as high as you might see in your typical stamina build, but we make up for that in a couple of other ways as well. Taking a look at the regens, I am using the dual stat regen food. So because of that, I do have a really nice amount of magical regen, and then our stamina regen as well is looking not too bad at 1769. So we're able to use quite a bit of dodge rolls and stuff like that, which is really good considering how low our health is. Our resistances and medium armor aren't too bad as well. With our buffs up, we are at about 19k in physical resistances, and then about 22k for our spell, and then we're sitting at about 1280 for our crit resist. For the Mundus, I have gone for the Shadow critical damage. So before I go into like the sets and the abilities, the reason why my stamina is so low is actually because of how much critical damage we have on this build. So you can see in non-CP we have about 43% critical hit chance, which is pretty high, and crit builds are pretty effective to run in non-CP because you can't really get a huge amount of critical resistance unless you're running some sort of like transmutation or impenetrable or something. And then on top of this crit chance, we have about 43% crit damage as well, which is a lot, which makes all of our abilities hit quite hard, as you saw in that first clip. We're able to crit like 10k meteors. All of our dots are going to be hitting pretty hard, and it just makes everything hit very, very hard when it crits. The way that I got to that number, like I said, I am running the Shadow Mundus, so I got 13% there. You get another 10% from from being Khajiit, from Feline Ambush, and then the other 20% I get from having a Aging Spear ability on my bar, from Piercing Spear, and then the last 10% I get from having Minor Force. So we have about 43% critical hit damage on top of that crit chance, which is pretty strong to have in non-CP. So taking a look at the sets really quick. For the monster set, I've decided to go for a Slime Crawl. That one piece weapon crit obviously is going to go along with this build really well, and then that Minor Berserk as well. With having that low stam and low weapon damage is going to kind of make up for it almost. So I really like having Slime Crawl for this set. Excuse me. I tried to use Valken Scoria, but it's just kind of unreliable. Kind of relying on the times for it to proc, and because we're using Power of the Light on this build, you kind of want all of your things to go off when you want them to. So having a random ability like Valken Scoria doesn't really help us. For this first 5 piece we are running Sheer Venom. I have that on the chest piece, the hands, the boots, and then the bow. And that's going to start ticking right at the beginning of our combo. As soon as I put up a Power of the Light and then hit with a Poison Injection, both of those dots are going to start ticking right away and then they're gonna start building up that that power of the light damage. And then the second set that we are running is Bone Pirate to get the sustain. Um, and then for the traits, I'm running only infused on the head and the chest just to get a little bit of extra stats. And then everything else I have impenetrable because I am in medium and my health is pretty low. So taking a look at the abilities, I'll go over my combo and why I use what I have in my bar here in a second. But on our bow bar, we're using poison injection on the first ability, crushing weapon from our Sigil skill tree, binding javelin, power of the light, and then evil hunter. I primarily use this to get the major savagery. I don't really use it for stealth detection because we are playing a bow build, so you're not really going to be close enough to get that that detection unless it's a nightblade who's on you. That's really the only case where you'll be able to get somebody out of stealth. But that having that major savagery really helps. And then for the ultimate, we are running Ice Comet. And then on the back bar here, first ability we're running is Mist, and to Purify. Purify is obviously, no matter what kind of build you're running, if you can have a Purify, it is super strong to have in this game. Restoring focus, obviously for the armor buff and the extra little bit of stamina sustain. Race against time for that minor force, and then next patch it's actually going to be removing snares, so that's actually going to be very nice for our build as well, because the only way I can do that right now is Purge, which is kind of an expensive ability, so having that on Race Against Time is going to be very nice as well. And then Rally, obviously running 2H for the heal, that's really our only heal. I'll kind of explain how I'm getting away with running only one heal on this build. And then the ultimate is Precog, which is a very nice ability because it's very tricky and it allows us to get out of a lot of situations. So the way that this combo is set up is I kind of start out with Power of the Light, which puts minor fracture on them, and then I go right into a poison injection. And because of how much crit chance and crit damage I have, I could just use poison injection and then kind of pepper them with light attacks, and sheer venom and poison injection will do enough damage for that Power of the Light to be pretty chunky with just that alone. So I like to use poison injection at the start of the duration so that I can get the most time out of sheer venom. And then I kind of go into a combo with these two abilities here. So the way that crushing weapon works is you can use it after a light attack. So if you shoot it and then use it once your light attack hits, it'll still have the crushing weapon on it. And then the other way they like to use it is you can proc it, shoot a light attack, and then cancel with any other instant cast ability such as binding javelin. And then assuming that all the abilities work, your light attack will hit, your crushing weapon, my binding javelin, and then it also has a chance to proc off my my burning light. So we have quite a bit of abilities hitting all at once there, which is a part of the burst. And then by that time, we're kind of getting towards the end of Power of the Light, and then that guy will go off. And then if Power of the Light doesn't kill him, I have Poison Injection there to kind of finish them off. The reason why I'm using Meteor on this ult, or on this build, excuse me, is because it's actually a very nice ability to combo in. As you saw in the first clip there, I kind of like to use it right after I use my Poison Injection, and then I'll kind of throw a Javelin right before it comes down, so that I can kind of guarantee the hit from it. And because of how much critical damage I have, I'm able to hit some pretty nice meteors. Like you saw a 10k crit in that first clip there. And I usually will hit anywhere from like a 7 to 10k crit with this guy, so it's a pretty nice ultimate to have for this build. And then defensively, like I said, we do have a lot of speed on this build. You're gonna want to use Mist whenever you have enough magic going, whenever you're kind of in open field, to preserve that, to preserve your stamina. And then the reason why I'm able to get away with having one heal on my bar is because I'm running a Great Sword of Draugr Heritage. So first of all, the trait is powered, and when it's gold, is giving you an extra 9% healing done. And then the two piece of this guy is 4% healing taken, so this is gonna beef up my rally quite a bit. And then Templars have it's not secret ground. Where is it? It's one of these vassals. Yeah, it is secret ground. So whenever I use either purify or my armor buff, I get minor mending. So with all those three things, it makes me have some pretty beefy rallies, and you're gonna see me kind of waiting it out to allow the time to run down on rallies sometimes, just so I can get the big enough heal out of it. Because once I use it, I kind of have to wait for it to tick down again to be able to get a big heal. So it kind of is a risky build to play, but because of how much damage we have, you do have a higher payoff. Now you can 1vx with this build, but the best scenario that I like to run this build in is duo actually, because if you can have somebody with you to kind of draw the attention or draw the aggro, and people kind of allow you to sit there and just shoot your stuff off, you can do tons of damage to people. Like if people just leave you alone in the back to shoot at them, which you've kind of seen in some of my videos with Johan, and if you haven't, I'll leave a couple of clips there. But if people aren't focused on you, you can just kind of sit back and pick people off one by one, because of how strong this build is. Now, I'm going to show you a bunch of clips of me playing solo to show you how the build plays out, but I would recommend playing this build duo because of those reasons. Like I said, it is my favorite way to play this build. But yeah, that's the build, and let's take a look at some of the fights. Alrighty, so jumping into this first clip here, really quick, two things I didn't mention. I'm running Bloodthirsty on my neck piece trait. Actually helps out a lot because I don't have a hard execute, and then I'm running stealth pots as well, instead of tripods, and you'll see how useful those are. But I do end up jumping into this keeper to try to help the defense. But the first player we jump on here is a DK, so we kind of peel off of him, and then we get jumped on by Napeblight as well. So we're just gonna use Mist to get around these corners while he's trying to attack us here. And we kind of lose him for a second, and then we go to the top floor, but we get jumped on by a Warden as well. So as soon as we get immobilized, I'm gonna pop a Siege ultimate to get back downstairs, and then immediately use a stealth pot, and get away from that guy pretty easily. So you can see how useful stealth pots are on this build. And then after backing up, I do see a player outside, so I try to take him out. I use a Power of the Lights, and I go into my poison injection, but I can't exactly get a Binding Javelin off. But you can see there, like I said, all I do get off is my poison injection and sheer venom, and I get like 1 or 2 light attacks, and I'm still able to finish him off because he doesn't heal. So you can see with that crit damage just how hard my dots are hitting on this build. And then after resetting in that tower there, we're gonna try to turn around and go back on this Warden. But after stunning him, he does pop his permafrost, which gets us decently low, and our stamina is low as well. So I'm gonna pop a Stitch ultimate just to get right behind him here and reset the fight. We turn back around on him and get a couple of dots, hit him with a Binding Javelin as he's falling, and then finish him off with the poison injection there, and then go right into a stealth pot to get away from these guys as well. So you can see just how strong the stealth pot allows us to be with this build. We can focus down targets, and then take them out and kind of escape into the shadows, but somebody does end up having a detection potion there, and they do take us out of stealth and kill us, but still a pretty nice fight nonetheless. Now for this next fight, it's just a singular kill and a BG, but this really showcases all the strengths of the build. You see this player is retreating back into his team here, and you see even though he gets behind his teammates, I'm still able to land my javelin combo on him, roll dodge past the 2 guys, dodge Dawnbreaker there, and then end up behind them and still finish off the player. It's just a crazy build to play, honestly. Like if you dodge roll at the correct times, because of how easily you're able to animation cancel the abilities that I use, you can get off some pretty stylish kills. It's really fun to use. But yeah, taking a look at the last fights here, I just wish I could have gotten a little bit more footage for you guys, but I have been a little bit busy these past couple of days. but you'll definitely see some more videos coming up in the following days. But jumping into this first fight here, we do have a short sword on us. He ends up dodging our heavy attack, but we get our power blade on him still. Hitting with a crushing weapon, and then the sheer venom, and then the power light end up finishing him off pretty quickly. I think his critical resistance was a little bit low. We end up moving up down the hill. We see another player hitting with a 4K heavy attack, and then right into the crushing weapon, Biden Javelin. Take out the rest of his health. Like, just so much damage. If you don't have critical resistance, like, this build just chunks, man. It's insane to play, honestly. We use a stealth potion right after to lose that crowd, and then we jump right onto the next player who's on his mount. We get stunned, but we still end up finishing him off with the power blade, as you can see at the bottom there. But we do get taken out by a snipe. But yeah, that's the build. It's tons of fun to play. I just really want to thank you guys so much for watching. This is the first full-length build video that I've done, so it might have been a little bit disorganized, but please let me know if you guys liked the video. If you did, maybe leave it a like. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. And thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.